DJ Scream, heavy in the streets.
We gon' get it, we gon' get it, we gon' get it. We gon' get it, we gon' get it. Get it in blood. Get it in blood. We gon' get it, we gon' get it, we gon' get it. We gon' get it, we gon' get it. Get it in blood. Get it in blood.
Hood rich.
Get it out the mud.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Saints and Appetizers podcast. And welcome back. Welcome back. We have some appetizers for you, some more appetizers this evening. And this is UFC. This is UFC 324, Gaethje versus Pimblett, which that happened just this Saturday, past Saturday, January 24th, 2026, at the T-Mobile Arena in Paradise, Nevada, United States, and the attendance was 19,481, and the total gate was 10.9 million. So, that's the first event promotion that Paramount has had all for to start its contract, I guess, with the UFC. So the first event on Paramount. And I'll say, people save a lot of money now, seeing how you only have to spend like $8.99 a month for like the cheapest subscription through Paradise. So I understand the amount of money people save with people not having to pay $80 per pay-per-view, So I understand that, but I will agree with what a lot of the backlash that people that's out there right now on social media talking about Paramount is, yeah, there were quite a few commercials, and the thing that the commercials hurt, the product of being a UFC fan and watching UFC is they cut out a lot of the walk-ins, the songs that they walk into and them getting greased up outside the cage and all that. And then the same thing, like they would do like a cutaway screen, a split like cutaway screen during the breaks between rounds, so you couldn't see or really hear all that much what the corners had to say to their fighters. So I don't know, it just felt like you kind of lost that aura, to UFC and MMA with all the commercials, But I understand why they had to do it. But on top of all the commercials, it wasn't just all the commercials. It was the fact that they were just kept playing like the 4 or 5 of the same ones, like over and over and again. And there was a clip, like a sports on Paramount commercial that they kept playing, and it just was getting me heated every time they were showing it, because it was showing like New Orleans Saints defenders like trailing Josh Allen. So New Orleans Saints were catching strays about every other commercial break, me having to see that crap. So yeah, on top of a lot of commercials, and you get what you pay for, obviously, because with the $80 pay-per-views, there never went to commercials. It was just full blow, like straight through. But yeah, the commercials, but did enjoy the hour early start time. Like that was a plus. But yeah, I just, if nothing else with the commercials, which I do a lot of streaming, and after a while, like say you like binge watch, like, I don't know, like a 12 episode series of something, and you don't have a commercial throughout the whole thing, kind of like those like mental breaks, you kind of like them to some extent. But I just don't like it when it's the same commercial over and over and over again. But did like the early start, or our early start time. But anyways, before we get into this card too deep into it, there's something I need to try to remember. I'm trying to remember. I meant to do this on one of the 2 past podcasts, but I just forgot. I want to shout out a new subscriber. So we got a new subscriber here. Dope, my new subscriber, Dope. And you know what? That's dope that I got a new subscriber. So yeah, I just want to shout you out and appreciate you subscribing and liking what I'm doing, and anyone else out there that wants to like, subscribe, follow, comment, anything, share, anything like that. I want to hear from you guys, and I say it every time I get a new subscriber. If I can pick you out, figure out who you are through the whole notifications and all that. When I get a new subscriber, I'll shout you out because that's what I want. I want to be in tune with my uh, fans, my watchers. I want to be in tune with them, and appreciate it when you subscribe to me, and you actually kind of lets me know that you enjoy what I'm doing and that I'm doing it for a reason. So yeah, I just wanted to shout my new subscriber Dope out. So I remember that on this. So that's that. Let's I think it's time to get into this podcast. So this is UFC 324 Gaethje versus Pimblett. So that's Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. And this is the first pay-per-view and first UFC event of 2026. So, anyways, can I get a menu? And so the first thing we want to get into is kind of the prelims here. And this was a prelim that kind of snuck by me a little bit. Was So we knew about the guy that like passed out, Smotherland, that like passed out at the after the weigh-in. After he weighed in, he like just like face planted, like passed out. So yeah, I understood that fight got canceled. But another one that I kind of for didn't notice that got canceled, and I went over it. I highlighted it when I did my prediction podcast as a notable name like Michael Johnson and Alex Hernandez. Like those are very, if you follow UFC enough, like you've heard those names before. Like those aren't like real like great elite fighters or nothing, but they've been around for a while. People know Michael Johnson. He's had like 30 fights or something in the UFC. So yeah, I just highlighted that on, I think that was supposed to be like the main event maybe of the early prelim portion of it. But yeah, these people, they Las Vegas and these bettings and this poly market and all that, that was stuff that people didn't like having in sports. And people were real hush hush, like not wanting to talk about it. And now it's like they just like bombard you with like commercials and things like that. But yeah, apparently that fight got canceled because there were some issues with gambling in regards to it. Because I guess Alex Hernandez, or maybe it was Michael Johnson, had a hit, like a hidden injury, or they were trying to hide an injury, and I guess they weren't being completely open about it towards the gambling and the betting line. So they were just like, all right, we'll just pull the whole fight then, if you're not going to be honest with how you're feeling and how you're going into this fight. But yeah, that's just kind of like the Smotherland passing out part. That's not the best way for Paramount to start. You got fights getting fights people want to see getting pulled off the card due to like gambling concerns, betting lines moving and things like that. And the same thing, you got fights not happening because you got fighters like passing out, like dying after the weigh-ins. But so that's that kind of messed up the prelims a little bit, but still, it's not uncommon, and it's probably more likely to happen a lot of times when you have these early prelims and standard prelims, when they have a lot of notable names on them, and like they're good, just probably just good enough to where it could be a fight night. A lot of times these cards the prelims usually kind of sometimes end up being better than the main card. And I think you could easily argue that with this card, because let's see, so there's 6 fights on this card, and there's 5 fights on the main card. But through the total prelims, there's 6 fights, and 4 of the 6 ended in knockouts. The first 4 fights were all knockouts: TKO, 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 and then a KO. And what was really crazy was the first 2 fights on the card were all buzzer beater fights. They all ended in the last second of the first round. So that was Ty Miller got TKO, or yeah, Ty Miller TKO, need and punches Adam Fugit at the 4:59 mark of the first round, and then Josh Holkett TKO'd off of retirement by Denzel Freeman at the 59 mark of the first round. So that was pretty wild. That right there, like that made it hard, kind of hard for the main card to live up for that. But that was pretty awesome. And then so yeah, so the prelims were nice, but I still think I could see what Paramount was trying to do with the main card, and I mean they got what they were trying to do because they were wanting a bunch of stand up wars, and pretty much that's what all these fights pretty much stayed standing for the most part. So you got your standing like boxing, kickboxing, basically from all these fights. The only problem was is that you didn't get quite as many barn burner like bar street fights, bar fight type of fights. Like you got that probably from the main event, but all the other ones I wouldn't say were quite like that. A little bit more technical striking and like kickboxing, but you didn't get the finishes because uh, four of those five fights all went to decision. So it's just it happens quite a bit. But let's get into the first fight on this card. Let's get into the main card, anyways, and we'll go over my picks. So we're bad mouthing this card and bad mouthing Paramount. Let's bad mouth myself a little bit because I did not do great on this card and with these picks. But let's get into the first fight on this card. So first fight, curtain jerker for UFC 324 was a featherweight bout between Jan Silva versus Arnold Allen, and this seemed like it was going to be a great matchup because you got two really solid fighters that have a lot of knockouts and finishes on their career, and both of them, I don't think Arnold Allen had ever been not stopped, and then Jan Silva had only been knocked out and spinning back fist by Diego Lopez in his last fight. But besides that, you thought that this was a good matchup of top 10 featherweights. But man, it wasn't as good of a fight as I kind of thought it was going to be. I think Jan Silva, he kind of started a little bit slow and allowed Arnold Allen to get off a little bit more than probably expected, and that probably led to Jan Silva went led to Arnold Allen winning one of these rounds because it ended up going to decision. So 3 5-minute rounds, 15-minute fights. It went to decision 30, 27, and then 29, 28, and 29, 28. So the two ladder judges agreed with me. So I thought, yeah, Arnold Allen probably kind of won the first round, and then Jan Silva kind of started getting off a little bit more in the second round, and then even in the third round, he went for some takedowns and he held Arnold Allen kind of down, kind of had him like just like face down at the end of the third round and was like landing some ground and pound. Nothing that looked too serious, but I guess he just didn't like how Arnold Allen was kind of ending that fight. So he just kind of like hopped up with there just being like a couple seconds left, and he jumped on Arnold Allen's back and was like surfing like on his back for a second. So there's been thousands of memes come from that. So you got memes of him like being the Silver Surfer on Arnold Allen's back, or riding him around like a AI with him, like riding him around like a skateboard and stuff. So didn't necessarily get the finish that we were looking for in this fight, but got a highlight, a meme moment from it with Jan Silva doing the Hawaii kind of 5-0 like surf motion on his back, which is kind of funny. And yeah, Jan Silva, he's an interesting dude. He's really high strung, and like he was like crying at the end of the fight, like saying sorry to Arnold Allen and stuff. And I couldn't. Joe Rogan like asked him like why and stuff, but you couldn't ever get a clear answer. My guess is because he did that because he stood on his back at the end and was disrespectful to him would be my guess. But still, I mean, the social media world loved it. But so there's me starting the card 0-1 there because I was predicting Arnold Allen to test that chin of Jan Silva and maybe get knock Jan Silva out 2 fights in a row. But what never was really close to that. So we start the card 0-1 there. All right. So now then, on to the women's flyweight bout. We have a bout between Natalia Silva versus Rose Namajunas. And so we did get one fight right here. Oh, we got two fights right on this card, but yeah, this is the only one that I would say I got like pretty much went exactly how I predicted it to go. So I predicted Natalia Silva to win this by decision, unanimous decision, and it went 3 rounds, 5 minutes for 15 minutes total, and it was a decision 29-28, 29-28, 29-28. And Rose Namajunas and Natalia Silva, it was predominantly a striking bout in the first round. And then in the second round, kind of like I predicted, was wanting to see, like, yeah, if Rose Namajunas doesn't get off quite as well as she's hoping to, that maybe she'll go for a takedown and maybe try to get a takedown. And that's probably what won Rose Namajunas the won the second round. Like I think Natalia Silva got off better in the first round, but getting the takedown and having a little bit of control towards the end of the second round probably won Rose Namajunas the second round. But what was wild, kind of in the third round, was Natalia Silva ended up taking Rose Namajunas down and kind of ending the third round in dominant position, top position, and that's probably pretty clear. That's what won Natalia Silva the fight. So yeah, it wasn't the most exciting fight in the world, but it went pretty much how I expected. But would have been nice to see Natalia Silva and Rose Namajunas that maybe to open up a little bit more, get a little bit crazier with it, because I understand it takes a lot for a 125 pounder. You got to have some serious power to get a knockout. But I don't know. It was just seeing them open up a little bit would have been nice. But that's the second fight on the card. Now then, on to the third fight on the card. We have a heavyweight bout between Waldo Acosta versus Derek Lewis. And that fight ended up ending TKO punches at the 3:14 mark of the second round. And this was a pretty sad looking fight, just in regards to Derek Lewis. Just didn't look like he should have been in there with Waldo Acosta. Like the speed and agility difference between a 34-year-old Waldo Acosta who's in peak position and body wise, and condition for a heavyweight, a mixed martial arts heavyweight. And then you got 40-year-old Derek Lewis, who's, he's like a one punch and a prayer now at this point in his career. And I mean, it's worked a lot for him in times, and a lot even here towards the back half of his career or so, but it just wasn't Waldo Acosta. Waldo Cortez Acosta was not falling in that. He wasn't getting into any type of brawl with Derek Lewis to even risk possibly getting hit, but just the speed difference was just phenomenal. Like Derek Lewis barely even touched Waldo Cortez Acosta in this fight. But the ending of this fight was kind of weird. You kind of had like Derek Lewis kind of like backing up, and just at the tail end of him, like kind of like backing up, he get like caught or just like grazed with a jab or a hook, and he just fell, like looked like he tripped and fell. I don't know if it was because of the punch or his just legs just went out from under him, and he just kind of laid on his butt, laid on his back, and Waldo Cortez Acosta just finished him pretty easily. Finished him with ground and pound. Like Derek Lewis just didn't do anything. He was like a dead fish on the mat. So that was disappointing. And we had originally picked Derek Lewis to get the knockout in this, just because that's just kind of what he does. You underestimate him, have him as the underdog. You talking about his age and his and all that, and next thing you know, he's flatlined, a guy that's never been knocked out or a guy that's never been beaten. He wasn't able to do that against Waldo Cortez Acosta. I think if Derek Lewis continues to fight in the UFC, it needs to be against guys more his size and maybe closer to his age, because you're fighting these, now these top elite heavyweights, and Waldo Acosta, it's just the outcomes aren't going to be uh, aren't going to be favorable probably for Derek Lewis at this point in his career. So that puts us at 1-2 on the card so far. All right. Now then, on to the co-main event of UFC 324. You have a bantamweight bout between Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong. And I think I originally picked Sean O'Malley. I was picked Sean O'Malley to get back on track and us to really get to see the striking that we kind of, I think a lot of people forgot about from seeing him lose his last two fights against Merab Dashwili. I think people forgot how elite of a striker he was and how much of a knockout artist, even at the bantamweight weight class, he was. So I was thinking we were going to get some of that, and on top of Song Yadong also being, a bit of a striker. Like he has great wrestling, coming from what American Top Team, but he's kind of favors like trying his knockout game, his power striking. So I was hoping that we would kind of see that from Sean O'Malley, like as if Song Yadong would be like the perfect opponent for him to get back on track with that. I mean, Sean O'Malley, he did end up winning, but he didn't do it by knockout, and it was maybe closer than some people thought. Either way, going either way, whether you were thinking Song Yadong was going to win or Sean O'Malley was going to win, but it was a really close fight. And so, but it ended up going to decision. It was a unanimous decision, 29-28, 29-28, 29-28, and that was 3 5-minute rounds for 15 minutes. And Song Yadong, Song Yadong, like right off the bat from the start of the fight in the first round, was really just trying to really just trying to work Sean O'Malley's legs, and that's pretty much all he really focused on in the first round. And I think because of that, Sean O'Malley was able to land 2 or 3 better shots in the fight in the first round, which won him the first round. And then in the second round, man, Song Yadong just started eating up Sean O'Malley's legs, whether it was kicks or knees. And then at one point, he had him like clinched up, kind of pushed up against the cage. And Song Yadong was behind, had waist control of Sean O'Malley from like behind him. And like he let off like six consecutive like knees where he was just like trying to like knee Sean O'Malley like in the back of the thigh or the back of like the hamstring area. And I don't know, it's just kind of funny seeing him do that. So yeah, I would say that just the attacking Sean O'Malley's legs like pretty much the entire second round, probably won Song Yadong the second round. And then Sean O'Malley did, I don't know, just with how bad it looked, as if his legs were getting beat up through the first round and all the entire second round. You were thinking like it's just going to be more the same as the second round. But man, Sean O'Malley did a good job of either avoiding the kicks or Song Yadong just stopped throwing them, and the Sean O'Malley just started having pressing and being more aggressive, and kind of like in the first round, he didn't land a lot, or didn't look like he was going to knock Song Yadong out at any point in the match, but he just landed more and was more effective with it and was more aggressive. But the better shots came from Sean O'Malley, even though maybe wasn't a lot of it. You got that in the third round. And I think that's pretty clear that that's what won Sean O'Malley the fight unanimously. He won the first and the third round. So it's good, nice to see Sean O'Malley get back on track. And you could see he was really feeling that. He was really worried about this being like a pivotal moment in his career, whether he won or lost. And kind of like me watching the Saints these past couple of years, finally seeing them win. You forget how good it feels to win, and that's just as a Saints fan watching it, and him putting his body on the line, going in there in the cage, and losing the last 2 times. I imagine a win felt real good and put Sean O'Malley right there in line, right there in line for a bantamweight title opportunity, I would think, against Peter Yan. So we get a rematch between them. So that puts me, so that's on the card. That puts me at 2-2. So now then, the moment of truth, I guess we could call it. But yeah, the main event of UFC 324, Gaethje versus Pimblett. We have an interim title bout between Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. And that fight ended up going decision unanimous 48-47, 49-46, 49-46. And that was a 5-round, 5 minute rounds, a 25-minute round fight. And this fight didn't go how I predicted it at all. I was going into this fight kind of thinking, oh, Justin Gaethje is kind of washed. I wasn't even saying he was like a stepping stone or a gatekeeper, just that he just doesn't need to fight anymore. And he looked like old Justin Gaethje, So I was predicting that Paddy Pimblett would put a bit of a hurting on Justin Gaethje, through the first couple rounds, and then at some point, he's gonna break Justin Gaethje down enough to where he was going to be able to get a submission, probably get him down and get a hold of his neck and choke him out and get a choke on him. But we did not get that at all in this fight. Through the first, I think it was through the first 2 rounds, Justin Gaethje was just getting off better in the striking game, which the fight stayed standing through the majority of the fight. There was actually one moment early in the first round where Justin Gaethje landed some pretty good shots, and then had Paddy Pimblett like face down and was landing some decent ground and pound. And it looked like at moment to me several times in this, like 3 or 4 times in this fight, I thought for sure they were going to stop it, or were going to be able to stop it, but they didn't. With that, it seemed like if Justin Gaethje would have really let off, unloaded in that moment in the first round, that maybe he could have got the finish there, but ended up being smart because the fight ended up going 5 rounds. And Paddy Pimblett says Scousers can't get knocked out. Apparently not. They can definitely get their faces beat up. They can get a broken nose and black eyes and all that. And it was crazy because the back and forth between Justin Gaethje, it was there. They're back and forth in the striking, but Justin Gaethje didn't have a mark on him, while it looked like Paddy Pimblett had been hit in the face with a damn brick. That was the big difference in this fight. But you gotta give it to Paddy Pimblett a little bit in the whole, Scousers don't get knocked out, because Justin Gaethje hit Paddy Pimblett with some stuff that multiple times in this fight that would have knocked out and ended a lesser man, especially with the beating that he took in the way the beating he took in the first and the second round, and actually was able to come back and probably could say that he won the third round, and then was able to just kind of to survive the fourth and the fifth. The first judge had it 47 or 48-47, but I don't really know what other round besides the third one you'd give to Paddy Pimblett. But yeah, that was a good fight, and we got what we were wanting in that fight in regards to a fight that felt worthy of the main event, because I was a little upset because we lost the Amanda Nunes Kayla Harrison championship bout, women's bantamweight championship bout. But I think the Justin Gaethje Paddy Pimblett did just fine in being the main event and capping off UFC 324, the first pay-per-view of the 2026 season for UFC. But anyways, let's get into bonuses and stuff, because a little bit of stuff has changed in regards to bonuses now. So with fight nights and performances of the night, so performances of the night still get the 50,000, but now they've changed it to fight night get 100,000. And I guess due to Paramount, the contracts have all changed to where fighters get an additional 25,000 bonus, regardless of it being considered a performance or performance of the night or the fight of the night. Just regardless, with any knockout or submission, fighter gets a $25,000 bonus. But let's get into who received those fight of the night bonuses and performance of the night. So fight of the night, Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. So that's no real surprise. I would say it was, and at least that was fitting for this card. Wouldn't say all too many of the fights really, but under that on the main card were really anything to get too excited about. But the main event definitely you got what you're looking for. I guess you could say I don't know if you could want to say you got what you paid for because it's gone from $80 to $90 now. But anyway, so that's your fight of the night, obviously, and then you got two performances of the night. You got Josh Hokett and Ty Miller. They were both the two fighters I mentioned on the early prelims that both won those fights off of uh, buzzer beaters. Uh, yeah, buzzer beaters. They won with 1 second left in the first round. So that's pretty wild. Hokett and Ty Miller both won those by a TKO. So that's UFC 324. Gaethje versus Pimblett. I would say it's a good card, a good way to start off the 2026 season. Just like it's you can always be better. Another knockout or a submission on the main card would have been nice, but with my predictions didn't do so well. We went 2-3 on my predictions, but hey, we don't have to wait too much to make up for that because yeah, we felt like we had to go about a month without any UFC. And the UFC really, the transition over to Paramount didn't really want to combat with college playoffs, football playoffs, and then the start of the NFL playoffs with the wild card and the divisional rounds. Well, we don't even have to. We just have to wait a week. Don't even have to wait another month before we get another numbered card with UFC 325, Volkanovski versus Lopez 2. And that's just this Saturday coming up, February 1st, 2026, at the Kudos Arena in Sydney, Australia. And some of the main fights on the main card, you got the featherweight championship bout with Alexander Volkanovski, the champion, versus Diego Lopez getting that rematch that he was looking for. And then co-main event, Dan Hooker versus Benoit St. Denis. Lightweight, Rafael Fiziev versus Mauricio Rufy. Heavyweight, Taya Tuivasa versus Taliesin Teixeira. So yeah, there's some interesting fights on that card, but just kind of looking at it, kind of similar to UFC 324. It looks kind of similar, just with the build up. You got the one title bout on it, and then you just got kind of quite a couple top 10 battles and guys kind of fighting for possibly the next shot at title shot. I could say that for probably uh, the two undercards to the main event. You got two lightweight fights, guys looking for a lightweight championship bout. But hey, I enjoyed last night, and I definitely think I enjoyed UFC 324 is what I meant. I think I kind of missed it, when you got a card and fights every weekend, you get kind of spoiled to an extent. So I'm glad that it's back, and hey, I'm glad that I barely have to wait even a week before I get to watch some more pay-per-view quality, which I guess they're Paramount View quality now with UFC 325 Volkanovski versus Lopez 2. But anyways, I think that's about all I have for you. So can I get a check, please?